Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of White Coat Chronicles with me, Tori. So, as you can tell from the title of this episode, I have done the trek to Ohio, where I will be going to medical school. This is now the second time I've been there since I put my deposit down, and it was... I don't want to say it a disaster. I'm just critical of myself and certain things. I don't know. But it was a lot this trip and I can't wait to get into it. I can't wait to look back on this episode one day when I'm fully moved in and just laugh at myself, honestly. But before I get into the episode, if you're new here, hi, I'm Tori. I am 22 years old from New York. And I am currently in my gap year before I start medical school at Ohio University Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine. Yes, the name is nice and long. It always, my heart, skips a beat each time I try to say it on the mic because I'm am I saying this right? But yes, it is right. I am going to medical school there starting August 11th, so the clock is ticking for the remainder of my gap year. And I'm just really enjoying the last couple of months, soon to be weeks, of my time at home. Because for this gap year, I moved back home. I worked as a medical assistant for a physiatrist a little outside of my town. If you don't know what a physiatrist is, it's a pain management doctor. I didn't know what that was until I started working for one. But for many reasons, I quit the place in April, and I've kind of been chilling at home, going through some ups and downs, feeling bored, feeling what am I doing? Should I be doing more in my gap year? But I can confidently say I have finally reached the stage where I am enjoying my stay-at-home mom era. So yeah, if you're new, I hope that kind of catches you up. Also, my voice doesn't always sound like this. I'm coming off of a sickness. What is new? Honestly, I feel like I've been sick so much recently. And it's crazy because I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. I'm actually doing almost everything right, I think, in my head. My sleep schedule is fine. I always eat well. The only thing I could think of is that I went out 2 nights in a row this past weekend. And I don't think my body can handle going out anymore. It has been a year since I graduated college where I used to go out 3 to 4 times a week. And now I can't even do 2 days without just being shot for the rest of the week, which is really sad and a little scary to think about, but it's probably for the best. It's why we mature out of our going out era. I don't know. I still love it though. Alrighty. So it is currently Sunday, June 29th, much later than I normally upload. I don't even want to think of it an excuse. I've honestly just haven't been home a lot and I'm not bringing my mic with me. So here we are. But I am recording this as I wait for my Sunday dinner to be made by my dad. It sounds so bad, but this is a reality of me living at home. We're an Italian family. Mostly Irish and Italian. My last name's super Italian, but my dad has been loving making meat sauce every Sunday night, so he's cooking away and I'm patiently waiting, passing the time recording this. And today I just felt super inspired to record just because I have something to talk about. I got back from Ohio Saturday and it's Sunday now, and there's just so much that happened on this trip. It's time to share. And I'm just feeling really good today. I don't know. I really spent this whole day alone, and I've just been loving my time alone. I talked to my best friend Maither on the phone for almost 2 hours, and I have been reading, continuing my reading grind. I'm on the last book of A Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. Oh my God, I cannot believe I'm on the last book. I feel like I've just flown through all of them because they're so good. But just sitting outside reading, I've actually started studying for medical school, which is weird to say. It's been something that's been lingering over me like my whole summer. And I just kind of ripped off the Band-Aid a couple of days ago, started an Anki deck. I'm actually starting by learning the meaning of like prefixes and suffixes of different medical terminology. I don't know where I saw this, but I think it's this YouTube website called KenHub, or YouTube channel, I should say. And I always would watch this playlist called Medical Terminology for Healthcare Professionals. And I watched it while I was a medical assistant just to like brush up on different medical terminology. And it basically has different videos that go through the different systems of the body. And one of their like key points is that learning medical terminology is like a whole new language. And one of the best ways to kind of prep for that is first getting familiar with what the prefixes and suffixes mean, because most of them are derived from either Latin or Greek. And fun fact, I actually took Latin in high school, and although I remember close to nothing, and throughout college I remember nothing, it is like starting to creep back in the more I study. I'm like, wait, like not P-U-R-R-R, P-E-R, for example, like that is a prefix and it means through. And in Latin, I don't know, I just remember that meaning through in Latin as a like standalone word. So I've been doing that, and then I started a deck for the back, just like learning about the vertebral column, the cervical spine, the thoracic region, and the lumbar spine, and kind of just going through that. And it feels good to just start studying for something again. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm not doing it like with like a timed clock and just like stressing about it. I kind of just wake up, do what I always do, just like sit outside and drink my coffee, and I'm going through Anki cards and watching any videos that I don't understand, just because I don't think like everyone has to do this. Most people that I've asked say don't do anything before you start med school. But for me, I'm type A, and I feel like I need to do something, but also I didn't take anatomy and physiology in undergrad, and my medical school sends out these newsletters once a month, and they were like, if you did not take anatomy or physiology, we highly, in all caps, recommend that you start reviewing. So I kind of took that as like a little sign to get on my sheet and start doing it. Now, to kind of catch up from the last episode I posted, which was close to a month ago, let's do high-low piccolo. So my high of this past month, I guess like the month of June, would definitely be my trip to Cape Cod with all of my college friends. It was so nice, wholesome. Absolutely loved every part of it. Low, let me think. What is my low? Low, kind of like on a whole different area of my life. My skin's breaking out. Like really, not really bad, but I used to have cystic, terrible acne, and I went on Accutane for it, and it cleared it up. My skin was good, and now I get little flare-ups, but the pimples that I have on my chin right now hurt. Like when you wash your face and the pimples hurt, and there's just like a clump of them, and it really bothers me because anytime I get like a clump of pimples, I just literally have PTSD from how bad my skin was. I'm like, oh my God, I hope my skin isn't going to go back to how it was before. But like I'll still get like little pimples here and there, but I'm just going to credit it to me being sick and having to breathe like with my mouth open and drooling all over my pillow. TMI, but like that's what I think it is. I don't know. And piccolo is that my mom, my sister, and I got matching tattoos. Well, not like completely matching, but I got a sun on my left outer wrist, and I have another tattoo on my right outer wrist, so I kind of like how it looks when I put them together. I'm like looking down at them now. My sister got a moon, and my mom got like a moon and a sun with 3 stars in it. And I forget where it was. I was out one night and someone was like, oh, what does that tattoo mean? And I'm like trying to explain that I got it with my family. And they're like, yeah, but like, what does it mean? And I'm like, that's a great question. I really need to like work on my story for what it means to me and my sister. I remember when we like discovered this idea. she has always been like a night owl, and I have always been a morning person. And she saw this thing like the moon allows the sun to shine and the sun allows like the moon to glimmer. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I just like how it looks. And I will always say, like, I don't think every tattoo needs to mean something. If you think it's cool and you like how it looks on your skin, then go for it. And that's kind of the vibe for this one. I have 2 other tattoos, and they do have meaning to it. So this was a fun little playful one that I'll always remember. My mom, my sister, and I got together. Alrighty, and last order of business before we get into the episode is my little fun medical fact of the week. This is a pretty quick one. I learned it while I was doing my Anki cards for the anatomy of the back, and I just found it interesting. So, you may think by your 20s, our bones and muscles are kind of like where they should be, right? Well, big surprise, wrong. So, we have a couple different sections of our back, as many of you might already know or have heard before, but basically there's 33 vertebrae in our that like make up our vertebral column. We have our cervical spine, which is our neck, our thoracic spine, which is also called like the mid-back, our lumbar spine, and then we have our sacrum and our coccyx, which is like our little tailbone that has come a long way since we have been standing up on 2 feet. But our sacrum is made up of vertebra S1, S2, S3, S4, and S5. And if you look up anatomical diagrams, the sacrum always just kind of looks like a triangle, and the bones are all fused. But I don't know like how I found this out, because I didn't have an Anki card about this. I was just like, there's a certain question. I was like, wait, what? But if you are like in your 20s right now or a little younger, your sacrum is not completely fused yet. There's still some IV discs between the different sacrum adjacent vertebra, and it actually doesn't fuse completely until we're around 30 years old. That makes me think like we get shorter, but that's not really how it works, because the sacrum's it's kind of like our pelvic bones and connects to our hips and all of that. But yeah, I just kind of thought that was interesting. Like, our bones are still moving. They're still getting in place before the final product of our body is complete. So, moving on into the bulk of this episode on how I, in quotation marks, attempted to move in to my medical school apartment in Ohio. Emphasis on attempted. So, for some background, I've had my lease signed for this apartment since May 1st. So I've been paying rent May, June, and soon to be July. And I saw my apartment once before I signed the lease. Me and my dad went over to Ohio for like a quick trip just to make sure the apartment was what I saw online. And we met the landlord, and he's awesome. And I signed the lease basically the next day. Now, at this point, I haven't really been back to the apartment, and everyone's like, when are you moving to med school? When are you moving? And I'm like, I don't really know. Like, it seems silly that I'm paying rent and I'm not there, but I just can't bring myself to live in Ohio yet, like alone, before I start med school. So we are just pushing it off. But what I wanted to do was get my car down there, because that was kind of like the whole point of this trip, was really just getting my car down there, driving it over to my apartment complex and putting whatever I could fit in my car over there. Thankfully, we didn't need a lot of furniture, or the apartment in general just doesn't really need furniture because it comes fully furnished, which is nice. But on the flip side, it's all like dorm furniture. So if you think back to your freshman year dorm, like that is my apartment. And the thing is, because it does come fully furnished, my rent's a little more expensive. And like I get that, because I'm not buying like a bed or a desk or a kitchen table, a couch, etc. But like part of me just wants to make this apartment so cute, so cozy, and like I look at it as like my post-grad apartment, and having friends that are like fully in their post-grad era, they've like been decorating their apartment so nice, and I think I'm just like comparing it to that. But I have to realize that this is medical school, and like who knows how long I'll be in this apartment for, if I'll like do a different lease next year. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I was just kind of like, I really want this to feel like a nice space, and just the dorm furniture like kind of icks me out. But we're going to get past it. Me and my sister are going to have a little Pinterest brainstorm session planning our rooms, because she's going to college next year and we need to plan our dorms. And I'm like honestly just going to call my apartment a dorm at this point. Alrighty, anyway, so the day comes, and this all kind of came together really last minute. My mom has a really confusing work schedule, and she never really knows her days until the week comes. So we found out that she was off Thursday, but on Wednesday nights, she works till like 1 a.m. So I kind of just realized that we were not going to be leaving early. I'm like, whatever, like my mom will sleep in a bit and we'll just leave whenever she gets up. And that night I was packing my car, kind of like freaking out. I'm like, what am I supposed to be bringing? Like, I don't know. It's just so hard because I went to college 3.5 hours away in the car. And I just found it super easy to like bring stuff there and back. And like if my parents were to visit me, they could just bring stuff. But the concept now that I will most likely always be flying out there, it really kind of just like put this pressure on me. I'm like, okay, this is a one time I'm going to drive out. Like, what can I fit in this car? What it ended up being was just bags of like my different seasonal clothing, and then a lot of random things from Costco, a couple of things for the kitchen, some random food that I like raided my parents' pantry, and I just brought certain things that I knew would be put to use. And yeah, we packed it up and we hit the road at like 9, which I was very happy with. I drove the first half of the drive, which is like 4.5 hours, and it was really easy, honestly, except this one part in New Jersey where I made a terrible wrong turn and had to go over a bridge to go back over the same bridge. That sucked, but besides that, I did very good. Me and my mom stopped a couple times, and then she ended up taking over for the last like 3 hours. And I held up pretty well, even though I was like super sick the day we were driving. I was fine when I was driving, but when my mom drove the last couple hours, I was just like so out of it. And it just sucked too with this trip that I was sick during the whole time, because I felt like my energy was just not there. And I am just so thankful my mom was there with me, because she helped so much. So we arrive at the apartment at like 7, I think we got there. And it's just so weird, like being in the States, that you can drive and in the same day be in another state super far away. I don't know. I like think about those things sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, we're literally like in Ohio and I had my coffee in New York today. Anyway, got there, and this was the first bad part of the trip. I opened my door to see a huge leak in the living room, and the ceiling is like those papers, like cardboard ceilings. I can't explain it, guys, but like I feel like you know what I'm talking about. Just those like ceilings that look like cardboard planks. And on one half of the apartment, like the ceiling had fallen. So that was just not fun to see after driving 9 hours. And I was just like, oh my God, what is this? What happened? And my mom's like, Tori? I'm like, I don't know. So we called the landlord. The landlord was in Spain, so there's really nothing he could do, but he felt so bad. He's like, this literally has never happened before. And I believe him. Like, his daughter used to live in the apartment and also goes to the same med school as me. She's 2 years older, and like, he is the nicest landlord I've ever had. I mean, I've only had one before him, but the other one was terrible. And he was just like, oh, I'm so sorry. But there's like really nothing we could do. It was late. The maintenance for the apartment complex had been long gone by then. It was also a Thursday. Yeah, it was just, there was nothing we could do except put a bowl under where the leak was coming from in the ceiling and put paper towels all over the floor so the floor wouldn't get ruined, and get to sleep, honestly. So we go and like just unpack as much as we can from my car. We ended up like unpacking everything, just not the rug that I brought, because we didn't want to put the rug down because we knew there's going to be like maintenance people in there at some point. So we're like, we'll just save that for later. But we only brought one set of sheets because me and mother forgot to bring two. So my mom was such a cute angel baby. And like, because I was sick and just being such a complainer, she let me get the sheets. And she slept on, like, the twin XL without any sheets, just, like, on the mattress that you're given. Like, it's... And her pillow had no, like, pillowcase. We literally were splitting a blanket that we put in the car just in case, like... I don't know. My mom was so afraid that we would run out of gas and, like, get stuck on the highway. But I'm like, Mom, we will not run out of gas. I will stop if I see that we're low on gas. But, the sleeping situation was funny. I felt like I should have just been camping at that point. I'm so dramatic. But no, it was not the best night, but we roughed it out. And when it comes down to it, I was like, look, this is my apartment, but like, this is also not really my problem. I know the landlord is going to have to fix this, so I kind of just feel bad for him. He has to put more money into the place, but it was just hard because we were really excited and we couldn't really unpack anything because we knew the maintenance was going to have to come in and kind of like gut the place or just do whatever they had to do to the ceiling. Anyway, so day 2 comes, and we wake up, we go get some coffee at this really cute coffee shop. Vibes were great. I'm like, I feel like it's going to be my coffee shop when I get there. So that was nice. And then we went to Walmart, just got some more stuff for the apartment. And we came back and realized that, like, we are not going to stay in there another day. We're like, we need to, like, stay in a hotel because it was my mom's, like, she gets, like, 3 days off a week for work. And it was the first time in a while that they were, like, consecutive days off. And it was, like, kind of going to be a little vacation for her. At least I thought it would be, just, like, us spending time together. So we were like, you know what, we need to get a hotel room. Like, we are getting a hotel room. We're going to go close to the airport and just stay in a hotel by the airport because our flight the next day was at 8 a.m. So we get a lift. It's about an hour and a half drive to the airport from where my apartment is, which kind of sucks, but it reminds me so much of college because that's how it was for college too. The airport was like an hour and a half away. It's kind of inconvenient, but thank God they have Ubers and Lyfts because my college didn't even have Ubers and Lyfts. And if they did, it was rare. It was a rare occurrence. So we took the lift and we get to the hotel. And me and my mom are so happy. My mom's like, I'm going to get ice for our wine. And I'm like, okay, girl, you go do that. And I'm looking through my bag, and poof, my wallet is nowhere to be found. Now, let me tell you, I was bugging because in my wallet, not only is it like my credit cards and debit cards and all of that stuff, but it was also where I put the key to my apartment, which is the only key I have. And my ID, obviously, enough, but, like, I need that to fly. And we were flying at 8 a.m. the next morning. So I'm like, of course, Tori. How could you have done this? So immediately go into the Lyft app. I'm like, lost something, contact the driver. Unfortunately, the driver didn't speak English, so it was really hard to communicate back and forth. But this angel man understood enough, and he's like, yeah, I saw it, I'm coming back right now. So he came back, and I literally gave him all the cash that I have. I don't have that much cash ever on me, but I gave him whatever cash I had, and I was just like, thank you so much. Oops, let me turn that off. I was like, thank you so much. Not only did you come back, but, like, he could have easily, like, taken my wallet. Like, anyone would. So just, like, the last thing I needed to happen, but thank God. I don't really know what made me, like, check my bag right away, but I did, and it worked out. So at this point, I'm just like, get me to bed. I want this trip to be over. But me and my mom watched, what did we watch? Oh, we watched this, like, shark movie. It was good. We ordered we ordered Indian food, which was really good. And then we even DoorDashed wine, which was a fun new experience. And they actually like make you show your ID whenever they drop it off, and they scan it and everything. Because I was like, this is such an easy way for underage people to just order alcohol, but they are pretty good with it. And woke up the next morning. We set our alarm for like 5:45. We were going to get a shuttle to the airport, arrive by like 7, and our flight was at 8. So I wake up to my alarm, and I'm going through my emails, and I can't find my boarding pass. Like, just what else So I can't find my boarding pass, and I call my dad at like 5:50 a.m., and surprisingly, this man is wide awake and answers my phone. I'm like, Dad, like, I can't find my boarding pass. Do you have any idea? Because he booked the flights. And he was like, oh, shoot, I was supposed to email that to you. I forgot. Like, let me go up and do it now. So I'm like, perfect, thank you. Me and my mom are slowly getting ready. And we're just like, oh, you know, like there's those early morning flights. It honestly could have been a lot worse, though. Like, that's really not that early. And the whole point of flying out early is we wanted to get back just to have the day, Saturday, before my mom went back to work the next day, just so she could have some time to like catch up at home with all of her stuff at home. So we're getting ready, and I get another call from my dad like 30 minutes later. He tells me that, funny enough, he actually booked the flight for August instead of June. So I'm just like laughing telling this story now because it's just hilarious. So me and my mom were like, oh, did you now? So how are we getting home? And he was like, I just like lost that flight. I think he like got a credit for it. And he's like, I'm using up all my points I possibly can with United to get you guys on the next flight at 12:40. And I mean, like, I'm jobless, just kind of like frolicking around at home. So I had nothing to rush back for, but I felt so bad for my mom. She was like, oh, by the time we get home, it'll be like 3. And she just wanted the day, and that didn't happen. But it was a mistake. And thank God we were able to get a flight booked. The flight was actually full when we went on. Lots of people had to like check their luggage. Thank goodness. I like literally only had my backpack, and my mom had like a backpack and a little shoulder bag, so that didn't matter to us. We didn't have to check anything, but we went back to sleep. My dad told us, and we were like laughing for a good couple minutes, and then we're like, all right, let's put our pajamas on and go back to sleep, I guess. We get to the airport at like 11, I think we got there, or maybe like 11:30, and everything went smoothly. I was like more tired when I woke up for this new flight time than I was when I woke up at 5:45. I think I like had a sleep hangover or something. I don't know. It's just like, ugh. And I was still sick, and being on a plane sick, it's just terrible. But we had an aisle seat, thank goodness. We get on the plane, and we stay on the runway for 2 hours. An extra 2 hours because Newark was too busy to accommodate our flight. At this point, I'm like, what did I do wrong recently? Who is punishing me? And just like, disclaimer, this is so okay. Like, everything about this trip, I'm really just being a complainer. Everything is fine. I will be fine. But just for the plot and for the episode, I was like, oh my God. Like, ugh. And who am I sitting next to on the flight but a lovely, lovely woman that unfortunately had a UTI. And like the only reason I knew that is because A, she took out her pills in front of me, and like I saw what she was taking, and I am familiar with UTI, so I know what you take. And then whenever she asked to go to the bathroom, quite often she just like told me, she's like, I'm so sorry, I have a UTI. I'm like, no worries, like I'm familiar, I know they're terrible, like whenever you need to get out, just let me know. And honestly, like in all reality, I was fine with that. I felt bad for her, they suck. But I was just like, of course. We somehow end up getting into a conversation for the entirety of the flight. Turns out she is an Ohio state representative. She gave me her business card. I won't name her name, but she was great. She was really, really interesting. She's part of the Army. She grew up in the Northeast and then moved to Ohio, so she's kind of like giving me advice about that, because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Ohio for med school. And of course I sit next to someone that I end up talking to the entire flight. My mom kept looking back because she was in the seat in front of me, and she's like, Tori, like, what's going on? I'm like, no, nothing, because she knew I was like so sick and so out of it. She was just, I guess, surprised that I was chattering away. But yeah, we got home, guys. We got home eventually, and I kind of took that day to be sick. And it was like my last day really being sick with terrible symptoms. Now I obviously am just still congested, but what a funny, silly little trip that was. So yeah, that was me attempting to move into my med school apartment. If you follow along, or if you have been following along, you will see there's a pattern. I think I just attract this energy sometimes that's bad, and not like a terrible bad way, but just like I always have unlucky things happen to me. I don't gamble. I will never gamble. I am just an unlucky person, but yet I am very lucky with other things. I don't know. I'm like reflecting on my life right now, but that is it for the episode. Thank you for listening. If anyone made it this far, hi. And yeah, I will see you guys soon for the next episode. Probably one of my last before I am officially moved in to my med school apartment. Okay, bye.